It didn't go unnoticed on us that my old chum from Sky Sports, Gary Neville, Gary Neville Football has won the Business Awards 2021 Global Ambassador Prize. And why has it won this? Well, for helping to overturn the European Super League plot, and also Gary himself being recognised for, quotes, creating change within his community for the wider business of football and for the engagement and representation of fans within the game. Simon, you and I were certainly in the jaws of the Super League debacle ourselves on that Monday morning. I'll never forget it. I will never forget it. And amidst all that, of course, Tottenham went and sacked Jose Mourinho just to add to our workload that morning. But it certainly is without debate that Gary Neville was a very loud and a very big voice during the Super League debacle. And on Sky, this was him at full pelt at the height of the Super League controversy, very much railing against it.
I mean, I'm a Manchester United fan and have been for 40 years of my life, but I'm disgusted, absolutely disgusted. I'm disgusted with Manchester United and Liverpool most. I mean, Liverpool, they pretend, you'll never walk alone, the people's club, the fans' club. Manchester United, 100 years, born out of workers around here. And they're breaking away into a league without competition that they can't be relegated from. It's an absolute disgrace. And honestly, we have to wrestle back the power in this country from the clubs at the top of this league, and that includes my club. And I've been calling for 12 months as part of another group for an independent regulator to bring checks and balances in place to stop this happening. It's pure greed. They're imposters. They're imposters. They're nothing to do. The owners of this club, the owners of Liverpool, the owners of Chelsea, the owners of Manchester City, they're nothing to do with football in this country. There are 100 and odd years of history in this country from fans that have lived and loved these clubs, and they need protecting.
That's a kind of take the power back moment. That was Gary Neville's rage against the machine type moment. And Simon is with me, so too is Martin. You cannot deny that Gary railed against the Super League thing. So did you. You're extremely articulate on it. Many people did. But he was extremely loud and vocal about it, and having a serious tilt at his own beloved Manchester United.
Yeah, and he was right to do so, because he has a very loud voice in terms of audience reach, on a very big broadcaster with a very big social media following and with some influence. There were also certain parts of what he said which weren't so clever, about mobilising fan bases, which called on to some extent a justification for an angry mob to descend upon Old Trafford and create some aggravation there. And look, I don't think that Gary Neville stopped the ESL. I think the realisation of the sheer unadulterated lack of thought through how this was going to actually be delivered, and the lack of gumption of some of the clubs that 1 minute had the balls to do it and then next minute sat down back on their stool after the first bell rang, brought on a fight, decided to sit back down when the fight actually started. Now, there's nothing wrong with the ESL concept. It's everything wrong with the meritocracy element of it being removed. And the reasons why, as we well know, and as Gary well knows, because Gary's well versed in how owners work, because he worked for one in Valencia for Peter Lim, who has very bad reputation with how Valencia feel about how that club is handled, and he has him running, or funding, shall we say, Salford in all manner of ways. I think Gary has lots of good things to say, and I think there's lots of things that make him stand out from the crowd as far as punditry concerned. But to attribute one of the major reasons why the European Super League was stopped, because Gary was flapping his gums, is a little bit rich. But you do also have to acknowledge that some of the content that he's producing out there for Sky, with some of the stuff that he's doing, I saw a fabulous set of interviews that he did with Roy Keane recently and other bits and bobs. He's getting a great platform. His voice is influential. Whether you agree with every single part of his messaging is a different matter.
I think we should say congratulations, to be honest. And I think there's also, as well, about this independent regulator that he's been calling for. Not this was before the Super League nearly emerged. Didn't think it was ever going to get out of the ground, by the way. But
to be fair, it's David Bernstein's brainchild, and Gary's piggybacked off the back of it.
Okay. And the change in communities and wider business of football. I think it's interesting to see a former player who wants to stand up for the game he loves.
Yeah, but the sense he spoke on that occasion, I thought was unrivaled, because he was saying, my lot, Manchester United shouldn't have entertained this because of these reasons, and Liverpool and the "You'll Never Walk Alone"
I think he's
what are they doing?
Look, I think it's great that when you have a strong moment, you need strong sentiment, and sometimes you need to over egg the pudding to be able to carry the message in this modern world where less is more, or more is better than less, and substance sometimes gets lost in the detail. He made some very strong points of view. It's almost ridiculous to suggest that everything's driven by greed, because that greed would have to spin round and say, well, all the owners that own these football clubs are paying these players this amount of money, so where does the greed sit, begin and end? But I think, Gary, you're right to some extent. I'm not a huge admirer of a lot of the things that Gary Neville says and does, and I think he's given far too much credence. I think he's a barrack-room lawyer. I think he was a barrack-room lawyer when he was a player, and I think he's a barrack-room lawyer now that he's a pundit. But he carries a strong message, and sometimes he's worth listening to, and sometimes he's not, like all of us.
Well, I was just about to say, sparing your own blushes, I do recall that Monday morning when you were saying, so the six have done what they've done. And he looks at me, Martin, in here, and he says, they think they've got it. They think they've got it, the Super League, but they don't have it quite yet. And they know they don't have it quite yet. And why do they not have it quite yet? Because they've still to see what their own supporters think about it. And then we saw, did we not, Simon? Then we saw the fans and the power of the fans. And we saw what Chelsea fans did at Stamford Bridge when Peter Cech came out to address them. And we saw what United fans did, and some of it was distasteful, as you rightly say, Simon. When Carragher went inside Old Trafford, when it really was hitting its peak there. But I would agree, man. Well done, Gary. Well done for saying what you said on that occasion, and well done on the award.
And well done for saying things that he says about people like Mino Raiola. And he's very strong, and he's very entertaining, and well worth listening to at times.
Are you into awards? You probably you're the sort of guy that thinks an award's a badge of mediocrity.
I'm like Groucho Marx. I don't want to be in any club that will have me as a member.
Going up to 12 noon.